Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and today I want to share with you the Flashback starter character that I've been playing for the Flashback Incursion League, and that is the Charge Dash Berserker. So it is a very budget character, and I'm sorry, but I did get a bit of a late start to this league, thanks to being in Queensland and going for a Boulder comp for the entire weekend, so I didn't get to play as much as I would have liked to, and I'm just a bit behind, because at this point the character is roughly level 86, I think, and that's on a couple of days playtime, and it's been feeling really good off of a very low budget so far. It's got something like 10 chaos worth of gear, just the Terminus Est and a few little bits and pieces for defense and all that. And it does clear maps pretty well all the way up to tier 8 at this point, I think, is as far as I've gotten, because Charge Dash has become probably one of my sort of favorite budget, low type of gearing situation skills to do quite a lot of damage with. So that's with a two-hander using a Terminus Est. We are crit in this build, and it does clean up packs pretty damn nicely off of a 4-link. So my character only has 4 links at this point. The Ancestral Warchief helps for a bit of extra single target, and then Vile Double Strike itself can actually just clear entire bosses all by itself without you even needing to attack, as you'll see just a little bit later against Etsiri. But the clear for this character has been pretty damn smooth on a 4-link and very low gear, and that's just the strength of Charge Dash right now, I think. It's not for everyone, I suppose, because a lot of people still really don't like this, but it is also a fairly basic template for a Berserker or melee character that you can follow and pick a various number of skills for, including something like Flicker Strike, which will be just a little bit faster but a little less control than a Charge Dash skill setup. But for the time being, I'm running Charge Dash, and that is because I played it on the Pathfinder as the previous character with Void Forge, and I did find it to be a very fast clearing skill, pretty damn fun to play, and at this stage I do really quite like it for this content. And this one, however, is just going to be a lot cheaper because it's a Berserker, so it doesn't require quite as much min-max on the gear like a Pathfinder, so it just gives you a lot more damage early on with the Berserker nodes, with the Warcry nodes, with the Rage, and I'm not really having to focus too much on gear because it is just a Terminus Est, some pretty simple gear pieces, and we don't have to triple balance a Wise Oak or really focus too much on penetration, because it's just going to be basically a full lightning damage character if we want it to be, and then using Lightning Pen, and that takes care of our end game viability if we want to go that route. The previous character did not use Vile Double Strike, however this one is going to, just because it does help fill in a gap or two in the single target of the build when you have lower gear and lower damage, thanks to my only 4 links and pretty crap gear. So Vile Double Strike helps you there, and I think Charge Dash just becomes my premier clearing skill for this type of a build, and it works really quite nice. And then just lastly, I do have a little clip of the Etsiri just not even attacking here. That's just a 4-link Vile Double Strike, not really even heavily spec'd into it. So the damage ceiling is quite high, but at this stage I've got hardly any, and it's still more than good enough for just about all the content at the moment in this lower scale. So I'll show you the gear and how the character is built off of a real simple budget, and see if we can take it any further in the next few days. So the character I started here is a Marauder Berserker called Never Taking Rage Passives. At this point I have played 16 hours to get to 85 from a fresh start, and the character is based around Terminus Est at this point, though it can be based around quite a lot of things. You can go Hedgie's Staff, you can go non-crit with, let's say, a Kongor's Mace, or even things like just pure fire with Auros, or pure cold with Debion's Dirge. It's a pretty basic sort of template that you can mix and match with and play around with in Path of Building and see what you like. Terminus Est is just a really nice weapon to start with though, because it's got lots of crit, lots of attack speed, decent fizz, and then gives you some movement speed and some frenzy charges on crit. So the passive tree ends up being built around that, getting you some crit over here, some sword nodes down here, and then moving over to the sword nodes over here. And one of the good benefits of Berserker in these types of races is the Uberlab is not terribly important, because we get these nodes, and these nodes. These are our last two, Cloaked in Savagery, and it's not super important, doesn't really enhance the character too much. The important stuff is to start out with Warbringer and keep your rage up through just Warcries, and it gives you a nice defensive boost, giving you the life and mana regen. every time you press it. You then have Pain Reaver for all of your leech for both mana and life leech purposes, and of course a bunch of extra damage from Aspect of Carnage. However, Warbringer is basically the bread and butter of a Berserker build. Press Enduring Cry every couple of seconds, get your rage stacks to 50, and you will be a lot faster and do a lot more damage in your build. And of course, you don't take these 4 nodes because they're basically garbage. So the character basically levels fairly generically. You grab some little 2-hand nodes over here, go straight to the Duelist area, grab the 2-hand nodes over here, and then go up to the Templar area to get the life and area nodes down here. And eventually you can start speccing into some weapon nodes on this side when you pick an actual specialization of mace, axe, or sword. And in this case I went sword, so I started to fill out a few sword nodes and then went over here for more sword nodes. And of course we have the big life wheel too. So in the end the character is supposed to have something like 200% life. This still isn't the full passive tree. And then some pretty versatile jewel sockets and sword nodes for damage. And you can see my current path of building DPS is something like 130k against Shaper, and compared to my Pathfinder, which had 800k with Charge Dash, we're looking at something like 1/6 of the damage on a 4-link with very unoptimized gear. So what we're actually doing right now is running a Terminus Est. We got a Belly of the Beast, found that thing with a 4-link, just crafted some crappy helmet for life, though a Star Conjure would be ideal at this point. Try and get a couple of diamond rings because they do help for crit filling out, and then you get some elemental damage with attack skills if you can, or some flat physical damage too. Any sort of random gloves that you can go 2-socket Tomb Fists, of course. A belt with reduced flask charges used just for quality of life, and then some elemental damage to attacks if you can get it, and a bunch of movement speed on your boots. Some life, some resist really does go a long way, and you got to try and get some crit multi on your amulet too. And then the only other thing is basically a Lion's Roar in one of your flask slots. We can also go a Wise Oak, we can go on its Eerie Flask, but we'll see how that goes for now. Currently just sticking to a Diamond, a Silver, a Quicksilver, and a Life Flask. So the basic 4-link I'm currently running is Charge Dash, LE damage with attacks, melee fizz, and then we get fizz to lightning, so that makes us almost 100% lightning damage. Bunch of lightning, a bunch of cold and fire coming from Hatred and Herald of Ash. Basically no penetration on the tree or the character at the moment, so it will have weak elemental damage against the Shaper targets and all of that until we get, let's say, a 5th link that uses Lightning Pen, or maybe even a Wise Oak that can balance at least the lightning side of things, or maybe even speccing into the passive tree. Down here, something like that for extra LE damage and LE pen, but it's not something you really need to worry about on the lower end. That really high resist sort of stuff only comes into play in the tier 16s and above. But that said, the Vile Double Strike, if you just have one of these on a 4-link, does end up clearing really well with anything you basically do. So you have a double strike, attach it to Ruthless, chance to bleed, and melee physical damage, and you're going to see some serious results for your single target without really needing to do anything for your character too special, because I'm not even spec'd terribly well for double strike on this with all my elemental damage and shit, and it still absolutely farms. And then the War Chief is Maim, Melee Fizz, Ancestral War Chief, and Conk Effect. Running Hatred, Summon Ice Golem, and Herald of Ash in our reservation, though you can run a Blasphemy with like Assassin's Mark if you'd rather, and then of course Fortify, Faster Attacks, and Leap Slam, just currently in the links over here without a Blood Magic Gem, because I just top up my mana whenever I need with a simple press of the Enduring Cry. So Berserker, very comfortable playstyle, should get you through early game super easily with almost no gear whatsoever, because the Warcry node over here, the generic passive tree, and then the damage node down here by Cruel Lab is just going to carry you with whatever skill you choose to play. It doesn't have to be Charge Dash. I just seem to find that it clears up pretty nicely. I think my 5th link is going to be area, so they can actually get some better area damage going, and then my 6th link will probably be maybe Lightning Pen, I think. At this stage, that's how it's looking, and with the right little bit of fine tuning and all that, I think it could still easily take on the Shaper contents and even the Uber Elder contents. Gonna try and hit like 6,500 life, plenty of damage. Should end up being similar to Pathfinder, charge dash even against the Void Forge, but just a lot more budget and a bit more squishy, given Berserker versus Pathfinder. For now though guys, that's just the template for the character I'm running. Hope you're not too sick of charge dash, even though it's only really the second time I'm playing it. It's just been back to back. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you're having a killer Flashback League, and I'll see you next time.